When I was younger, my mom would always tell me this. Steven.
세상에서 제일 무서운 건 습관이야.
And what that means is,
the scariest thing in this world are habits.
and basically she was saying it in the context of speaking nicely. My parents have always been pretty serious about like speaking nicely and like honorifics and speaking to adults in like the proper way. And it makes sense, right? It's a good life skill and I'm grateful for that. And basically she was saying like I needed to get rid of the habit of speaking informally because it might slip out when I'm talking to my relatives or someone older than me in Korea.
Yo, what's good, G? What's good?
And like it's pretty serious there, right? And then I didn't pay much attention to it because I always thought that habits weren't that big of a deal. But you know, at least 50% of the things you do each day and the decisions you make are all driven by habit. So that means when you spent like 4 hours yesterday scrolling on TikTok, or you had that junk food, or when you woke up at 8 instead of 6, you slept past your alarm, or yesterday where you just like watched that random YouTube video, those were all actually just your habits. Habits are controlling your life. Habits are so dangerous because it dictates what becomes normal for you, and it's kind of like the embedded script inside like a robot's code, you know. You just tend to go down that path of playing that same code again and again. And so since habits dictate your life, if you can dictate your habits, you can start to control your own life. It's what separates the winners from the losers. It's the people that have the habit to sit down and study compared to the person who has the habit to sit down and scroll. That will smoke you in the exam, will get the job you want, the wife you want, and take everything that you want. Successful people just have made it a habit to do what they do because habits make up so much of your life. Even small improvements in your habit can have a big impact in your productivity and quality of life. I read The Power of Habit, Atomic Habits, Tiny Habits, Hooks, and A Mind for Numbers, and I teach you how you break your own habits to make stuff like studying addicting. Chapter 1. The science behind habits. All habits follow this: cue, routine, reward, craving, repetition, and belief. And so to get the best out of this and for you to actually like see results, as we go through this, like each of the steps, think of like a bad habit or a good habit that you want to do and write down like next to each of the steps how it applies to that habit. And so for me, I'll choose one that we all do, just picking up your phone and scrolling. The cue is what starts the automatic automation, like the program start running inside your brain. It's also called the prompt or the trigger, and it can be external or it can be internal. For example, waking up in the morning and seeing your phone next to you on the bedside is an external cue because you can physically see it. Whereas an internal cue might be you're bored or you're curious what your friends like post on Instagram. If you're just like bored and you want to like scroll, right? That's an internal cue. A better example and one that they use in the book is an external cue might be like you seeing your dad drinking coffee in the morning, whereas an internal cue might be you feeling tired in the morning. And the routine is what you automatically do once the program starts to run. So the routine might be you waking up, reaching for your phone, lying down and scrolling. The reward is the positive sensation that your brain associates with the routine or completing the routine. This is what gives your brain a reason to execute the routine in the first place. Normally it's a pleasurable experience or it's a relief from something negative. That's why procrastination acts as the reward, because you're getting relieved from like the fear of having to do the big thing and you're able to do something that's easier. Or it also could be pleasurable, such as eating junk food. Like it feels nice in the moment. It could be playing video games, it feels fun in the moment. Like these all act as the reward. However, a very important point is that the reward must be an immediate part of the habit for it to register in your mind. You can imagine like this whole set of things, your brain has to link that reward to the habit for it to like make a habit, right? For example, if you drink coffee and it immediately makes you feel more alert, your brain reinforces feeling alert with coffee because it's like it doesn't take long for you to feel the effects, right? Well, I wouldn't really know, but that's why a lot of people like associate waking up in the morning and having coffee because they feeling woken up is like immediate, and so your brain links those two things together. Whereas let's say you're trying to make a habit of working through your lunch break so you could get home earlier and sleep an extra hour. They both have the same reward, which is feeling less tired. Drinking coffee makes you feel less tired, but also like sleeping an extra hour will make you feel less tired. However, the habit of you working through your lunch break and actually feeling less tired, you'll feel less tired in the morning. And so you can imagine there's like a 12-hour difference between your routine and your reward. And so when it's that far apart, that's why it's hard to make a habit of you like working through an extra hour, because the reward isn't instant. And that's why instant gratification, bad habits are so easy to form, because the definition of instant gratification is you feel the reward or like pleasure initially, but it goes down in the long run. Your brain doesn't care about the long run when you're building habits. So when you're scrolling on your phone to get rid of boredom, your brain like feels the reward of like you'll feel less bored in the moment, but it doesn't think about the fact you'll feel shit later and you waste the time and your dopamine receptors are fried. And so it's easy to form that habit, whereas forming the habit of studying is difficult because that's delayed gratification, where it might feel difficult right now, but it's like serving you later. You feel the rewards later, and so obviously it's harder to form a habit. Think about it. Studying right now doesn't give you the benefits today, tomorrow, or like next week. It gives you the benefits when you see the results of your big exams, which might be next year, might be in a couple of months. And that's so hard to make a habit of because that's like such a far reward, right? And your brain doesn't have anything to link with. So we'll talk about how you can artificially create a reward for you to make those habits easier. And so yeah, I have it written down here. A better way to say it is, so the reward is the same, but the delay between the routine of working harder and the reward is too far apart to make it a habit. The craving. A powerful urge to execute the routine in anticipation of the reward. Some authors, such as James Clear, list this as an essential component for habits. The cue triggers the craving, and the craving causes you to execute the routine. Anytime you smell coffee, you start to crave it, right? But the most important part is it continues even if you decide not to have any coffee. You can imagine you smell the coffee, you see it, and you use your willpower to not drink the coffee. But the thing is, the craving still remains. You still want the coffee. That doesn't change, right? And so that's why cravings are really powerful. Even if you make an active decision to not do that thing, you still crave it. And so when you keep thinking about it more and more, you end up giving into the habits. That's why notifications for scrolling, etc. are really bad, because they literally cause an indirect craving, right? If you have notifications on, your phone's literally shouting at you, here is a notification from XYZ, and you have to check it. And that's why I advocate for turning them off. It starts to build a habit of checking your phone more and more, and it becomes automatic. The last step is repetition. And repetition is necessary for habits to form. The brain executes the routine in anticipation for the reward. The dopamine after eating the chocolate, the dopamine after playing video games, or feeling happier for a moment after scrolling on Instagram. The point is, to have that anticipation, you have to have done it before. And so you have to do something many times and repeat it over and over again for the movements or actions to become more automatic. It takes time and repetition to build routines and habits, but also another key part in habits, etc. is also the investment. If you invest time, energy, and money into something, you're going to be more inclined to do it over and over again, forming habits. The stronger the habitual attachment becomes. For example, if I've already watched 8 episodes of a K-drama, I'm more inclined to watch the other 2 because I'm invested in the storyline. When I bought Brawl Stars gems, I'm more inclined to play the game because I've already spent money on it and I don't want to waste my money.
No, thank you.
Investments give you something to lose. That's why social media is kind of scary. You've invested your time making posts, your friends, and so you feel you'll miss out on that. That's why it's hard to end those habits. And the belief. Something that kind of changed the habit game for me was this, the FOGG behavior model. Instead of viewing habits as the brain executes automatically in response to a cue, this model says that an action is performed when the ability to do it is multiplied by the motivation. If that exceeds a certain threshold, then you'll do the habit. For example, if you're on a camping trip in the middle of nowhere and you really want a donut, the craving's there, but then to get the donut you're gonna have to walk back to your car in the dark and it's cold. You're gonna have to take the car for several miles to the nearest city, and you'll have to go back, get a donut, and then come all the way back. You wouldn't do that because it's too difficult. Conversely, if you went to your school and on the desk you weren't even thinking, you didn't even want a donut, but it said oh, here's a box of donuts and you can take one, it's free, even though your motivation was low, because it's really easy to do so, your actions or your prompts are going to be successful. And so you can keep this in mind to learn how to make or break habits, which is what we're going to cover now. Now you know all this, it's very easy to change, but you just do the opposite of stuff that reinforces the habits to get rid of bad habits, but also increase what we just talked about to do good habits. So get ready, get your notebook out, and we're going to be quick firing all the things you can do. Get rid of any cravings, put your phone off your desk when working, turn off notifications if that's the habit you want to stop. Make it difficult to do habits. Clear away any junk food. When it's not in your environment, it's very hard to do. Turn off your phone completely. This acts as an extra layer of friction, because as we just saw in the FOGG diagram, we're making the ability harder. To use our phone now, we have to hold down on the power button and it takes longer and longer. We're far less inclined to do it even if our motivation is high. Whereas if it's just on our desk and we can literally just swipe up to do it, it's far easier to do. And so what I've actually done is I disabled tap to wake and rise to wake, which basically I have to press the power button for my phone to turn on, and it just adds that extra layer of friction. Conversely, to make good habits, put the cravings everywhere. Post-it notes, have your books out on your desk, make it as frictionless as possible. When I used to play the clarinet, I found myself not really wanting to do it because there was so much effort for me to assemble the clarinet. In case you guys don't know, you have to assemble it, and it's so much effort, right? And so I found myself practicing it way less than piano, whereas the piano, you just open the lid and start playing. And so that just proves how much the ease of it makes it easy. So have your study books out, make everything very, very easy to do for good habits. Create artificial rewards. Remember, it's hard to make habits for delayed gratification, study, go to the gym, because the rewards are so far away. But the thing is, if we start to create milestones or ways to see the results, it's far easier. Test yourself regularly and also think about the long-term goal. If I study today, I'm gonna be one step closer to my dream job, my dream I don't know, car, whatever you guys want. For the gym, once you start seeing progress, it's easy. That's why you should always take progress pictures, and you should acknowledge how far you've come from the beginning. Always know where your end goal is and try and space them out so there's more in between. For example, if you do a past paper by yourself, or you have topic tests in between, you can start to see how much progress or where you are, and it's easy to see if you're on the right path. Make a list of all the cues that you have for bad habits and remove them. For example, when I used to study, I'd go on Spotify, I'd see someone made a new music video, I click on that, I end up on YouTube, and I go down that rabbit hole. Well, now I know during studying, I'm not going to actually click on Spotify because that's a cue, and I've deleted that. Every time you do a bad habit, instead of being oh gosh darn it man, I did a bad habit, take that as an opportunity to write down what the cue was that triggered you to do that in the first place, and then get rid of them. Habit stacking. Do something in between or on top of something you already do. For example, if you say you're going to review 10 flashcards flashcards after like brushing your teeth or like eating breakfast, like something that's really automatic for you. Could be a bad habit as well, that's the thing. Like after scrolling on TikTok, like that's fine, but I have to review like 10 flashcards before closing my phone. That just makes it so that those two things bind together and it's far easier for you to do. When you do something like with another habit, it becomes ingrained, as James Clear said. New habits are an opportunity, not an obligation. If you say I have to jog so that I don't gain weight, like it becomes negative and you associate the habit with gaining weight. Whereas if you say like I get to jog and that gives me the opportunity to become jacked, like that gives it a positive light, and it also gives you a goal and also a tangible result and a reward, which we talked about and we learned about how that improves your likeliness and your ability to do the good habit. If you like what you're watching and you really want to like become that student, you might want to check out Student Accelerator. It's my program that's helping students from all around the world become the best student that they can be. And if you want to find out more, click the first link in the description. As always, take action, and I'll see you in the next one.